Hey everybody, back with some more Wild Arms. We have new skips for Ka Dingel, and I want to show them off. So here's the first one. Obviously they're done with the Gimel coin, and bam, we're out of bounds. So here's the next one. This one is to avoid that locked door in the center. The first one avoided all the statue and switch stuff, and so you just run up to the middle and you avoid the locked door. We are playing with encounters off right now because, you know, I just want to show you the route. I mean, you can't even see the skips. If I'm invisible, you wouldn't even see me, and encounters would be interrupting us and stuff. So, and then you kind of do a lot of the dungeon normally, but we skipped a lot of it just from those two skips right there. So there's a third Gimel skip coming up, and that one is a little questionable. I mean, does it save time? Probably saves a couple seconds, and that's only if you do it on the first try. So this, I guess, is the swag skip, then we'll call it, because if you don't get this on first try, doesn't save time. And luckily we got it on first try. You can tell if you get it because when you use the Gimel coin, if your character is like missing legs, like it's above his waist, the doorway, then you know you're gonna get it for sure. But as you've seen, that would have only saved just running around the top half of that room, so not that much time. We have Rudy for the whole dungeon. We use him because he's the only dude required. He uses the bombs to hit the switches, and that's all you have to do. Running diagonally up that without bonking is really hard, that staircase. I haven't quite figured out the science to it. Sometimes you just run into the stairs, sometimes you don't. So there's no encounters in puzzle rooms here, in the green hallways and the lever rooms and statue pushing rooms. There is encounters here, but then that's the last room, so no encounters from this room forward. All you do is pull all the levers. Duh. And there's actually one more skip. And this one's really great. This one is a great fucking skip. So with the Gimel coin, we can now skip loading zones. And what better loading zone to skip than a boss trigger, right? Normally we do it through doorways, but we do it in here, right in front of where Al-Hazad is going to spawn. And you've seen we did that little jitter and like moved forward a couple pixels after using the coin. That means we skipped the loading zone, or the trigger for the boss fight. So there's 3 ways to do this first bunch of skips. The first way is to just YOLO it, right? This means no invisibility. It's the easiest, but there's a risk of battle, right? As you see, our steps are over 1100, which is the threshold for this dungeon, so we could get into battle at any moment, but we're just assuming we won't. But the first 2 skips, this one in particular, is easy when you can see your character. Then you can cast invisibility and go on normally, and everything is fine and dandy, because you have that visual cue. But the risk is, of course, the encounter you could get in. The second way is sort of a super safe strat, right? And the safe strat is not actually that much slower, provided you also get that on the first try. So the problem with the first way is that if you're invisible, you can't see yourself, right? And the only thing you can go on is your shadow. And you can see your shadow on this tile set, see? As soon as the shadow leaves the screen, we know that we're out of bounds, and we can use the coin. And then bam. Then we just run to the left and go up the same middle hallway. But then there's the third way, which I guess ideally is what you would do. You don't get in encounters because you cast invisibility, but you use the first doorway as the skip place. And of course, the only problem with that is that you can't see your shadow. You'll see what I mean in a second. Look how dark these tiles are that you're going over. I can't see my shadow. I have no idea where I am right now. And I've just exited. See, we've already wasted time. The only way to do this is line up on the left or right of the railing and then let the door push you. See, like I ran into the corner and it pushed me into the doorway. And you can kind of see your shadow disappear on that bright red line. Like you can barely see the tip of your shadow on the edges of the square. So here's all three in unison. We'll see what saves time, what doesn't. Obviously, the movement is not all the same, so it's not a perfect test. But the one in the middle is what I'll probably go with. That first skip, by the way, you can't see anything because your menu buffering so fast. You have to just look at the doorway. And when you see the little flash or character, you have to notice his hand or whatnot, how close it is to the edge of the door. Yeah, but as you can see, I've already messed up on the right one, whereas in the middle one, I completed it because I did it first try. We actually are faster in the middle, even though it's supposed to be slower. So I think it's a good strat. And I guess now we'll just complete the rest of the dungeon to see how many encounters we get in. Because we used to do this with skates, right? And skates meant no encounters at all. But the dungeon's faster now, so we could afford a counter or two. And just keep casting invisibility as it runs out. See, no encounters in this room, no encounters in the next room as well. Now, remember the threshold is 1100, but with invisibility, it actually multiplies it by 4. Almost 4, anyways. So it's more like 4,000 is the threshold for this dungeon when you're invisible. Which is why the spell's so useful. So now we're crossing the threshold. We're going to get in a battle soon. Uh-oh. I cast it too soon. Whoops. So we'll probably get in a battle very soon. And we get in a battle as soon as we do the swag skip. And it's a preemptive battle, so we can run away. That's really lucky. So that's one battle. So anyways, the swag skip only saves time if you do it on the first try. So shadow has disappeared. That means we're out of bounds. And we made it. So you just run up to enter the door and then run back down. It saves, if anything, just a second or two, or maybe even half a second. I'm not even... It's hard to say. It looks cool, though. It's cool to do another skip for pretty much no reason. And from here on out, it's just normal dungeon. Hitting the switches again. That's cool. See, I ran into it that time. Good thing I did, though, because my invisibility ran out. Green hallways, no encounters. See that? All these rooms with no encounters means we're probably not going to get in another battle. Because... yeah. And that next room's no encounter as well. And then we only have one more encounter room. Which is this one. So we got 31 something, and I think we'll squeeze in before we hit the threshold. See? Not even 4,000. No more encounters from here on out, except for the boss. Now the boss, we're able to skip the trigger of the boss fight because it's narrow enough, like the loading zone. So it's, I believe it's a 5 pixel trigger for the boss fight, and if you hop over that last pixel, no more boss fight. So the last blue tile on the right, line up with the bottom of it, see? And then when you see the character kind of jump past the line, that means you got it, and then you're free to go. No Al Hazard. Just to give you an idea, we can trigger it if you walk back down. Look how small it is. There it is. So it is very pixel precise, but you have that visual cue to make it easy. So that's Ka Dingel.